Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I'm happy to see that there are so many people eager to learning, to get better in their learnings, actually. First, a little introduction about myself. Last summer, I became a freelancer. I take up like development roles, tech lead roles, architect roles, as long as I still can get my hands on the code, which is important for me. I've been developing for like 10 years, a little bit more than 10 years in the Java ecosystem. I mainly work on web and cloud architectures, mainly in AWS. I'm a domain-driven design practitioner, and I strongly believe in like all the Agile and XP development practices and how you organize your projects in an agile way, getting your stories out in a more efficient manner, getting that customer feedback, which is actually the same as in domain-driven design, where you work closely together with your business. Before I was a freelancer, I worked for a multitude of Belgian consultancy companies and have a kind of like fetish for getting to know the most IntelliJ shortcuts as possible. And also I'm continuously wondering what is the next thing I want to learn. I was wondering like what can I do to get better tomorrow than I was yesterday. And this is what this talk is about, how I organize myself using some tools to get to understand which thing is the best I can do next. So, a little bit about the title of this talk. It's going to be about tools in a broad sense, and it's going to be a lot about focus, because I personally strongly believe that focus will help you to get more outcome of your learnings. First, I already told you that I'm a domain-driven design practitioner. And never dare to call me an expert in something, because there's still endless amount of things to learn. But anyhow, there's a very important concept in domain-driven design. This is the ubiquitous language. And the ubiquitous language forces me to give like a very clear definition of the vocabulary I use throughout, like in this case, throughout the context of my presentation. It avoids misunderstanding in our communication. So if I, throughout this presentation, talk about tools, I don't specifically mean just only like a software application or a SaaS solution. I mean it much broader. A tool can be like any technique, like test-driven development. Test-driven development has its tools, but it's actually just a technique about writing your test first, making them independent of your implementation, having that strong feedback, and so on. So it's broader than just only a software solution. It's just something that can help you. And you can say, I don't need a tool for that, but that's exactly just the point. It can help you, or maybe not. If I'm talking about expertise, I really mean in-depth expertise. So it's something that you maybe are today, but more especially something that you want to achieve. And let's give an example. If like you work for a big company, and if people need information about web security, for example, and they come to you for that expertise, then you reach a certain expertise level. It's a difference with like broader knowledge. Broader knowledge, in the sake of this talk, is just something that you have read about something. Maybe you followed a conference talk, and when your peers are talking about it, that you can join the conversation. But if you really need to do something with it, then you still need to look a lot of stuff up, which is also not a bad thing, but that's more like your broader knowledge. It's different from HR, where they more use broader knowledge for your soft skills and leadership skills, but in the sake of this presentation, it's also about broader technology knowledge. I created like 4 categories of of different expertise profiles. You will find a lot of variances of this online. But in my presentation, like an expert is like the web security guy who knows everything about web security, has given his entire career to web security, and did not focus on anything else on that. It's different to like a T profile person who like you have like a team of Java developers, and you have a developer who knows everything about Java development like everybody else. But he also trained himself to know things about the agile process, and who is able to facilitate the Scrum meetings. That's like a typical classical Scrum Master. Then this is more like a T profile. It can also be like that you know something about completely other things, like you have some broad knowledge about front-end development and things like that. And then you can go on and go on. Like you have like an M profile, like somebody who has 2 expertise level, and then you have like the Da Vinci guy, the generalist, who has like multiple expertise levels. You will see like with the more things that you take up, the more expertise categories, or however you want to call it, that you take up, the less in depth you can go. There are only 24 hours in a day, so it's very difficult to get a very in-depth expertise level of many things at once. And that's actually also a pitfall, something that I personally also had difficulties with. It's like if you want to follow a lot of things, then you might end up to be a master of none. And here we are like at DevOps, so I take the assumption that we all have or aim for a technical career, and so we are also valued about our technical expertise. And it's very tricky to become like a jack of all trades, but not having like any in-depth expertise at all. So how can we avoid this? By having more focus. Again, like I told you in the beginning, this is actually like the main point of this entire talk, having more focus into your learnings. This is all very theoretically, of course. It's easy to say, because even if you look at yesterday's schedule, we see things about Kubernetes, security, artificial intelligence, GraalVM, many different things. And I suppose that like while sitting here waiting for the talk, we were also looking at Twitter, we were reading blogs, maybe we went on train to here, we were watching something on YouTube from another conference. There are many things be thrown at us, and with a very big variance of different topics. Personally, I still find it interesting to follow a lot of topics because I'm very curious at them. And what I implemented is a kind of read later button. So when I see something new popping up, I have like this conceptually read later button, and this assures me that, okay, I didn't miss it, but I don't need to tackle it right now. I can read it later whenever I want. Maybe when I'm on a train or on a plane or something, then I have time to read it. I used Pocket to have like a real solution for this, but there are many variants that you can use. There are many other applications, even just bookmarks in Chrome can help. But I always create like add a to read tag in Pocket, which is very useful for me because later on then I can go to all my to read, and these are the things that this is actually my implementation of my read later button. I even went one step further than that. I automated all my like information sources with if this and that. So if I mark something in Medium, if I like something on Twitter, if I add something on Watch Later on YouTube, or I like something on Reddit, it all ends up in Pocket, and I can actually show it to you. So here you see like Pocket. Here you have like my Twitter configuration. And you see, every time I like something in Twitter, I use the save for later of Pocket, and then I used other alternatives and if this and then too. So I want to mark which automation tool that I use for that. So when something appears unexpected, I know which automation tool created it for me, and then I add the source and also the to read tag. So it's very handy for me then. If I only need to go to like Pocket, and then I can read everything that I tweeted, all the blog every tweet that I liked, all the blogs that I wanted to read, things that I liked on Reddit, YouTube playlists that I added. And then I can go, from time to time, I can go through it, and I can tag it a little bit more deeper. I can add the different kind of topics, and I can just watch all the specific topic that I would like to see. As I showed you live. What can you do with this? If you aim for an expert career, not that much, because you're only interested in only one topic. But when you change your mind and want to broaden yourself, you still have it in your archive. More interestingly, if you aim for to be like a T profile kind of guy, you can read first everything about your specialty. And then you read later, which you can read second for your broader knowledge. Still, it's difficult to have some focus in that archive. You already have your focus on your specialty, but you need to have a little bit more focus in your archive. What we did do, we collected everything now. What I kind of missed is having a little, a kind of overview of all the topics that interested me. And this is why I use a mind mapping tool. Personally, I really like MindMaster for this. Because MindMaster, I will zoom in, allows me to add pictures, links, even to create tasks and things like that. And for every topic that interests me, I created a big heading with an icon, and then I can add the books of domain-driven design, I add something about modeling, I add the conferences, and this is really just, for me, it helps me to get an overview about all the topics that interested me. But I don't need to tackle them right now again. And this really helped me to choose actually which things I wanted to deepen myself in and which things I had to let go. Let's go back to the slides. So, for your broader knowledge, you can already pick topics from the mind map. Personally, it helped me to choose to focus only on things around development and things around domain-driven design, because it was too much to follow any other things. And as a generalist, you can also use a mind map to get an overview of all the topics that you are really gaining expertise in. So, we did create an overview, but still it's not very convenient yet, because there's still a lot of things around it. It's actually a big mess, let's be honest. So the next thing I wanted to do is find a way to reduce stuff to really get that focus back. I don't know if somebody knows Google OKRs. Big hands up, no? Not a lot of people. Google OKRs is something I can actually show you. If you Google it up, you'll find a website from Google with a lot of information about it. The main point is that you have to choose your objectives. You can actually use the mind map we just created to choose your objectives, or to pinpoint 1, 2, 3 objectives. And then you have to define your key results. Your objectives is the things that you want to reach. And the key results are very specific things that you want to do to get there. So to give a very dumb example, if your objective is you want to be able to run 10K, then your key result is, I have to buy running shoes, create a schedule, create a playlist, and then run your first 5K, and then your 10K, and then you reach your objective. It's very important, especially for the key results, to make them smart, meaning that they are very specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. Time-based for me on my learning goals can be like what I want to reach in 1 year or 2 years. Especially needs to be very specific. Just don't say just I want to run a lot. Just say exactly how much you want to run. If I apply things to myself, I aim to have like a kind of M profile, because I like investing time in my Java development in the broad sense, and I also want to know a lot about domain-driven design. And then I have some basic skills like Agile, for example. So if I fill in my profile, like for Java development, what things I think things like functional programming, serverless, reactive, things like that are useful for my Java development, while in DDD it's more about learning about CQRS, about event sourcing, but also about modeling and more working together with the business. And then in support for that, I can use like AWS knowledge, microservices. I need some soft skills if I want to train others in it. So these are like my 3 main objectives. So I applied actually Google OKRs on this. So my objective number 1 is to grow as a Java developer, and so on and so on. And then I can add key results, and then I can actually reason about which key results can I apply to grow my expertise in that objective. So for example, for Java development, I want to create like a proof of concept. Proof of concept for me is more about playing with frameworks, with technology, setting things up in the most efficient way, applying like test-driven development, but more like the tooling around it, making it less verbose and things like that. But I also have like things like katas, which has just been spoken about in the talk before mine. Katas are really small focused exercises, so this will also help me as a Java developer. I want to rewatch the clean code videos, but this time I want to take notes. I want to read the Brave Clojure book, and so on and so on. And I have like a set of key results for advanced domain-driven design, and I have some main key results for my broadened skills. And it's on purpose I make it very ambitious. It's also what they say on the Google OKRs, make them as ambitious as it is like realistic to reach like 80% of them. So really, you need to make it a little bit more difficult than what you're able to challenge and to motivate yourself. That's the whole idea behind it. I tend also to put them in order, because I reevaluate them very often, and the things that are on the bottom are the most likely ones to disappear or to be changed over time. What I really recommend is applying the GROW model, especially also if you want to coach yourself, but especially also if you want to coach others. So again, in the GROW model, you start on the top right with your goals. You can pinpoint them again from the mind map. And then based on the goals, you can check, okay, where are we today? And then what are the options? For the options, actually, you can look again at the mind map, because we already put a lot of things that we can can do to learn more inside of it. And then as a wrap-up, you can actually write the key results. How do I keep track of things? I was looking for something like Confluence. Confluence, I like it as an enterprise tool, but for like a personal wiki, it was not very ideal. And I came up with Notion. I will show it to you. Oops. Notion is a really cool wiki tool. You can add like Kanban boards, tables. You can divide things in columns. You can add checkboxes. You can do a lot of crazy stuff. Like for example, here I have my IntelliJ shortcuts, and I can like add an inline table, and then you can it's like short key description. I can even like link data between tables and things like that. But and if I can show like if you just it's very convenient to how to add things. You just type / and it shows you all the options you have. So it's really awesome to use actually, and I use it to keep track of my OKRs. So like for development. I have an objective to grow as a Java developer. I always add a motivation because motivation helps me to erase things actually. I started out with like 5 objectives, and then if I really consider why do I want to reach this, then you can question if is this really a good objective for you. And then I added the key results. For the key results, it's even more important to add a motivation. Why do you want to add this? This helps, again, to eliminate stuff. And as I told you, I also put a priority on it. Priority, like 1 is something I want to do, definitely want to do. But like the lower ones, I love to change on a regular basis. And I like it's actually also recommended by the Google OKRs to add a progress. I'm not updating that quite often, to be honest. You can add like progress for each key results, and then you can use that to like calculate your overall score. It's not very mathematically possible because one is more work than another, but whatever. And what's also very interesting, I can add like a little Kanban board, and then I can keep track of everything that I'm learning. What is very useful for this is that it forces me to have focus on only one thing at the same time. I cannot like read 5 books at the same time and create a kata and whatever, or I can, but it will show over here. The important thing here is to have like very small cards on it, because when your cards are too long, like reading a very thick book and not dividing it into the different parts of the book, then your Kanban boards will not move enough, and when you don't go back to it often enough, I especially tend to not using it anymore after some time. And that's actually the entire idea, is that you just can move a lot of things and can review your learnings and reason about it. So this was the Notion thing. So these are screenshots. So again, here we are back at the focus part. The Kanban board helps you to get more focus in what you want to learn, but also helps you to reason more about the short things that you want to learn next. I personally already like deleted my entire Notion setup 3 or 4 times. it's useless that you have stuff on there that you never use, or you tend never to use very often, or you need to like force yourself to maintain it. And that's completely rubbish. Just reset it from time to time, recreate what you're using, keep what you're using, and and just rethink it through. Just a small wrap-up for what I do to keep track of my learnings. I have like the read later, like I showed you in the beginning with Pocket and if this then then. Then I create my overview with MindMaster. To be honest, the MindMaster thing was more important in the beginning when I started setting this up. Now I actually almost purely rely on my OKRs because they are more like in short and mid-term, and it's just a waste to spend a lot of time on extremely long-term things like things that are in MindMaster, because things change continuously, of course. There was a few things that I still want to do in this process, like what I'm missing, and if somebody has a solution for this, please tweet me about it. I'm missing like having historical data in Pocket. If this is then you only have like live data, which is of course a pain when you used I used the tool Zapier before, and I used nothing before that. And I have a lot of like historical favorite tweets and historical favorited Reddit things. These things are not in my Pocket yet, so that's a pain. All these things have APIs, but it's a lot of work, of course, to consume every API just to have your historical data. One other thing, Notion is very convenient to use on my laptop, but just on my mobile phone, just to create a task very rapidly, it's always syncs. It always syncs your data offline, and it's not fast enough just to write a quick note while you're walking or something. So I still tend to use like a Wunderlist for that. You can use. I could have used any other application for that, and I would like to have like an integration with Notion and Wunderlist, but still not possible because they are still working on their API. So I hope that will come soon. So that was it. I have like 3 minutes for questions. Are there any questions? Yes?
Have you ever felt that these tools are taking too much of your attention?
Yes.
How was that?
It's like I said in the beginning, it's a little fetish of mine. I really like. So the question was if the tool set doesn't require too much attention. I must admit I enjoy setting it up. And I tend to sometimes reason more about what I want to learn than really learning it. How can you cover it? Actually, by what I just said in the end, by just focusing on the OKRs and having that Kanban board and only focusing on the priority and leaving like the MindMaster stuff and things out, and only when you have like only once in a few months look at it again. Any other questions? No? Well, thank you very much. See you later.